pinnacle of his power, a man risks losing control. The world is not kind, so its kings become cruel. Murder is never mercy, it's never noble, and it's never redeemable. To the maniac, murder is an art form.
What is happening to God say something?
Welcome back to Visited by Voices Live, just talking genre, which we haven't done, we discovered today, in about 3 months.
It's been a while.
So competency is not exactly at the height of our resume or
It's really
timeliness.
hot. Can we just blame it on the heat?
I'm going to blame it on new COVID.
Is that like new Coke?
Yeah, exactly. It's
So
not
they're
going to
gonna
be
change the
popular, so
recipe?
they'll go right back to the old one.
Okay, perfect.
Remember when you used to get like 5 press conferences a day and they were all an hour long and people thought like Governor Cuomo was coming to save the world and stuff?
Yeah, fun times.
The good old days. Doesn't that feel like 10 years ago now?
Yeah, I mean, the last year has felt like 10 years. But yeah, no, it feels like a different lifetime.
Definitely. I'm starting to realize that the period between 9/11 and COVID is starting to accordion shrink, so that those two points in time are eventually going to be sitting side by side, and they'll be the lost years of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always like to put the 2008 financial crisis in the middle there, though, something to break it up. But I was poor during that, so it didn't really affect me that much. Like, I was poor before then, and I was poor during it, and I was still poor after that.
Well, I mean, I don't think it was meant to be an economic boom for any of us.
Well, no.
Dan is asking, when will we be streaming Sam's horror movie on Region Free?
I have a horror movie?
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is either.
Daniel Shine, explain yourself.
I know, right? Like, this is news to me.
Is the hat on too tight tonight? What's going on? We got a more basic question from our old friend, the Daily Ghost. How the hell are you two doing? Hello.
It's hot. It's really hot, and it's been. And I need the cold weather to happen, especially because it's like we had a bat on the outside of our window upstairs on Sunday, and because I saw the cats licking, I was like, "What the fuck is that?" And I thought maybe is that like a tarantula all the way up the side of the house? No, it was just this little bat hanging out there. And when it got a little bit later on in the day, I was like, I hope that thing takes off because it's gonna get real hot real quick and it's gonna suck. So it finally took off right before I was about to call like wildlife rescue because it was there for like 4 hours.
You're about to call HR Pufnstuff's rescue rangers to come save the day for the bat. You don't know what that is because you're too young. But
I have HR Pufnstuff. I had Nick at Night.
Dan is claiming you put a clip on Twitter.
What? Oh, shit. I forgot about that. So, yeah, no, that's just the clip that I put on Twitter, since it was just the 20th anniversary of Freddy vs. Jason, which makes me feel incredibly old, was from the Ain't It Cool News event that they had for the Freddy vs. Jason premiere at this little summer camp in Kyle, Texas, and they called it Camp Hack and Slash. So, I ended up on the DVD extras. hooray for having cat ears. But sadly, it's just a blink and you miss it. I feel like the real horror movie though was about like how crazy my eyebrows were because I hadn't learned how to, shape my eyebrows yet. This is the best they're gonna get. I want you guys to know how many years of effort it took to get here.
Listen, my eyebrows are a fucking nightmare.
Your eyebrows are fine.
No. You don't understand. Like I have like 5 hairs on each of these eyebrows that decide to get about 1.5 feet long and poke people's eyes out if I get near them. If I don't trim them back with the hedge clippers. And this is a real problem. This is not something I'm making up. I'm not exaggerating. Well, maybe a little bit, but it's horrible. I hate my eyebrows.
What gauge of eyebrows are you talking? Like what's the girthiness?
It's somewhere under tree trunk, but definitely like more than Christmas tree limb.
Oh, maybe. I was just thinking like, maybe like kind of wiry, but like
they're definitely wiry, yeah.
Yeah, but you know how picture hanger wire is thinner than, actual useful wire? Something like that.
So I have these brushes that I use in my garage when I'm cleaning the heads of the battery terminals because they get corrosion on them. That's about the texture of my eyebrow hair. It's a horrible thing. No one should have to ever deal with my eyebrow hair. That's the real horror movie here of my life. I could use nail clippers to clip these motherfuckers.
My mom had the worst toenails, and she would actually have to use wire cutters on her toenails.
Is that true?
Yes.
Man, that's
I had to cut her toenails for her a couple of times, when she got older. So
that's pretty amazing.
It was, I'm glad I don't have to do that again.
Yeah. No.
I know it sounds like I'm glad my mom's dead. It's not that. I'm just glad I don't have to clip her toenails with wire cutters anymore.
They think that there's a fetish for everything, but I think you found something. There's no fetish for that.
No.
Deli Ghost likes my Miss 45 shirt. I love Miss 45. It's my favorite Rape and Revenger by far. I know it's more popular like the grimier ones, like Last House on the Left or I Spit on Your Grave, and I like those movies. But Miss 45 is so much more stylish and so much cooler. It's the best. It's the best. If you want to see a woman, kill her attacker with a clothes iron, well, this is the movie for you. If you want to see her blow guys away while dressed like a nun with a 45, this is your movie. There's nothing bad about Miss 45.
Yeah.
Although I will say this, and this is a problem that has yet to really be fixed. Every home video version of it is missing something. And not all of them are missing the same stuff. It's really hard to find a true uncut of the film. And it seems like even the people who own the rights don't realize it. So, I mean, the best version I have this DVD from Taiwan, which is, to my eyes, right. It's good, but it's a DVD. There's no Blu-ray of it. So the Blu-ray that came out not terribly long ago, it might be a Scream Factory or Arrow. I don't know. It's one of the big companies, though. It looks great, but it's trimmed. So, whatever.
Is that like one of those movies that's never going to have do you think they'll ever have a full, like the full cut without missing pieces?
Well, I don't think it's what's missing isn't like a gore shot or nudity or anything. It's just maybe there was different print. Maybe different prints were different in circulation, and there's no hard version of what is the complete film. I don't know what the problem is exactly. All I know is I've watched the film, and I don't even know how many times in life, and it seems like every time I see it on a different format, the movie's different. It's like, hey, what happened to that scene? Why did that end early? Or why is this going on longer? It's kind of crazy. Crazy. You know what? This is a really not. I don't even know how to answer this. Irreversible is probably the hardest to watch great film ever, and that makes it that makes it almost not qualify as a great film. It does everything it wants to do really, 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 really well. But why would you want it to? In a way, it's more offensive to me than something like Cannibal Holocaust, because animals died. I get it. I get how that's offensive. But lingering on the things that Irreversible lingers on to good effect, and there's a good literary purpose to why it's happening. But Jesus Christ, no one needs to watch that for that long. I don't know. Have you seen Irreversible?
No, pitch it to me. Pretend you're pitching it to me in a fancy.
Do you want to watch a 10-minute anal rape sequence?
Have I, or would I like to?
Would you like to?
Oh no.
No.
And I haven't either.
Then
it's a no to both.
I'm thinking it's not going to be. It's very few people's cup of tea. Like go to feel good movie. Very few people, and I don't see that being in your wheelhouse. I might be different. I could be wrong. Could be wrong.
I mean, rape revenge movies. Wait, is it a rape revenge or is it just a rape movie?
There's both in it. I'm not sure that it connects quite as honestly as like an I Spit on Your Grave or Last House on Your Left. But Dan says Irreversible is a really good movie, but I don't revisit it much. The straight cut is pretty pointless. Well, yeah. Yeah.
So are they talking about the anal rape being irreversible? Because I would agree with that.
There's a whole lot of things in the film that are irreversible. One of them involves a fire extinguisher.
Is it related to the anal rape? Because I feel
not.
like there's a theme.
It's not. Jeff, sorry, chat's moving too fast. Jeff, it's one of those things. Like I think that if you really are in a mood where maybe you just feel like you're desensitized and want to prove that you're not, maybe you want to do it. But I don't see a real good reason to put it on for enjoyment or entertainment. It's definitely a heavy message movie too. So it's like you gotta be in for that night, and you want to watch it alone. It is definitely not a film to watch with friends.
But like, I feel like that's a good opportunity to trauma bond, but don't tell them ahead of time. Otherwise it defeats the purpose of the trauma bond.
So I recently had friends over and we watched Red Spells Red, which is it's commonly known as the Chinese cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah.
And my friends are pretty. I don't want to say a nerd, but they know kind of to expect that anything can happen at any time. And there's a scene with a chicken that they were not ready for. And it's hard to be ready for it. Kids in the chat, if you've never seen the film, if you want to see a grown-ass man slice open a chicken and eat its intestines while the chicken's still alive, you can see that in Red Spells Red.
Yeah, no, pass. I mean, like, rape revenge movies, I'm kind of just not interested 90% of the time because I don't want to do it. But I'll make exceptions. Like, I'll make the exception for American Mary. I feel like that's probably my favorite. If you can have a favorite in that genre.
I'd be very interested in your take on Miss 45. I really would. What? Oh, did you see it? Have you seen it?
Mm-mm.
Watch the trailer. And I think you'll see something different than you're expecting even in the trailer.
All right. I'll go at least look at the trailer. And I mean, I've seen Last House on the Left and just, it's weird because some of that movie is so fucking goofy, like when they're singing, and I know it's kind of to offset the horror of what's happening, but it's still like, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't really understand Dan saying that Cannibal Holocaust is a great double feature with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but there we are.
Well, it depends on which Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles we're talking about. Like, is it one of the new Michael Bay ones that came out? Is it like an animated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Well, there's one in theaters right now, apparently.
They have one they have one out right now.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's with the old school Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, maybe. Just because I feel like the turtles having teeth is kind of just its own thing about like its own body horror.
I've never, like, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles thing was kind of a little bit after I was already out of the house. So I don't have those warm fuzzies that people have. I remember the first film coming out, and I remember having friends who were excited that it was out. That were just a couple years younger than I was, but I kind of don't understand the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle thing at all, to be completely honest with you. The appeal just seems very lost on me. I don't know.
Yeah, it was one of those had to be there, had to grow up with it, kind of like like Ghostbusters, and especially because watching the Turtles cartoon, and then also real Ghostbusters. It's a nostalgia bump.
Yeah, but like real Ghostbusters was something that definitely was still part of my consciousness.
Sure.
I think because it was I can distinctly remember that the movie, like I saw the movie in theaters and I liked the movie, but I wasn't like instantly changed. Like I think you had a much more profound experience the first time you watched it than I did. But I liked the movie. And I liked that it was, I liked that it was horror comedy, but heavier on the comedy side of it. But it was kind of a celebration of the spooky stuff,
Yeah.
It still would make a good Halloween movie.
Oh yeah.
And I remember when they were going to launch a cartoon thinking they're not going to do the tone. They're going to completely screw this up, because even as a kid, I realized, that's not going to translate. And then they just did it. That cartoon is actually it's the best follow-up to the original film that exists. Is that cartoon. Yeah. And which is why I've been saying for years, the only way to do justice to that franchise is just continue the goddamn cartoon as a film series.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So you watched the real Ghostbusters when it was airing, right?
Yes.
How did you manage to avoid Ninja Turtles? Because I'm pretty sure there was overlap there.
To me, it feels like I don't know. I did definitely. I don't know. But then again, you see something like I definitely made a conscious effort to see real Ghostbusters because I was interested in what they were doing. And again, the horror component of it. Whereas Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles doesn't have that same appeal to me, so it could have been just flying completely under my radar. I can't tell you the first thing about any of the characters. I mean, I know the names, I guess, through just now. There's been so much of it. But I can't really even tell you what. I can't tell you much at all.
I think you'd get a kick out of the live action ones, though.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
The first two, but not the third one. Third one, they go back in time, and I'm just.
Which one had the Vanilla Ice in it?
Oh fuck!
I remember he was involved somehow.
Two, maybe. I don't know. Chris probably knows out in the chat. I'll just wait for him to scream it out.
Ben Grimm is trying to sell me on it, though.
Good job, Ben Grimm. Thank you. At some point, we'll get Lauren to educate himself on Ninja Turtles.
So I two movies that I had pre-ordered came in this week. I'm super excited about. I'll go with the obvious one that people out here might have an interest in. Then I'll go with the one that I have to hardcore sell them. First is Sean Cunningham's Terminal Invasion, starring Bruce Campbell. The best Thing ripoff ever made. The best ripoff of John Carpenter's The Thing. It's so good. It's so clever. It's so fun, and it's light and buoyant. And it was a sci-fi original, and it feels like it, but it feels like it in a good way rather than everything else that was a sci-fi original. It's really great. If you've not seen it, I really do say you can find it. It's on YouTube illegally and stuff. Do that. Make sure you love it. But I'm overjoyed that that Kino decided that they needed to put it out on Blu-ray, because that's not something I thought was going to happen.
All right, I'll have to keep an eye out for that.
It's fun. It's a definitely a Guess Who's the Imposter alien movie, but it's got a ridiculously cool cast. It's actually kind of surprising in a few things it does, and it has that Sean Cunningham weird comedy to it from his early movies, which we hadn't seen in anything for 30 years. So I mean, it's actually much more like his kids' sports movies in some ways, because it spends so much time on the goofy characters. And the other thing that came out, and this is the one that's even more exciting to me, is Taxi Hunter.
Why does that sound so familiar? I know I haven't seen it, though.
So Taxi Hunter is a Category 3 Chinese, Hong Kong feature. from the 90s, starring the great Anthony Wong. Anthony Wong has this string of just incredible Category 3 villainous roles. But people know him from Untold Stories, Untold Story 1 and Untold Story 2, in which he kills a child murdering. Actually, he's just everything. But he kills children in those movies, definitely, and makes them into hamburgers because this is what we do.
Wait, but I thought we were killing the child murderer. Is that okay? You said okay, so you said child murdering, and I thought my brain heard murdering the child murderer for some reason.
No.
I got that all wrong.
I mean, eventually, in both films, Anthony Wong kind of gets his comeuppance, but which makes no sense that there's a sequel. But there's a third one that he's not involved in, but it's not as good as the ones he is. And then he was in one of the greatest exploitation films ever made, Ebola Syndrome, which just has everything in it.
Yeah,
if you can name an offensive act, it's in the goddamn movie.
Isn't that the one that you can only find like in the raw Chinese?
But
Ebola Syndrome? Like you can't find it dubbed or subbed?
Oh no, you can find
no.
It's been available in actually looking pretty good for most of its career in America. The Blu-ray that just came out, with a 4K that just came out of it, is pretty amazing. Yeah, Anthony Wong is a crazy guy. If you saw that third Mummy movie with Brendan Fraser, he's in that. For some reason, they're like, we need a Chinese actor for this. Get the guy known for spreading Ebola by spitting blood out of the bullet holes the cops are shooting at him at a teenage girl. Get that guy. But Taxi Hunter is great because I owned it on VCD, which is it's the worst format ever to release movies on because it looks pixelated and horrible. And back in the CRT days, it was kind of okay, but now it's like it's a disaster. And I didn't know that it was ever going to get another release because it never even got a DVD release.
Huh.
So finally, this stunning edition is out. Yeah, it has a slipcover, but it's actually too thick for me to rip, guys.
It's thicker than your eyebrows.
It's thicker than my wiry eyebrows. That's the original poster art with the great Anthony Wong and his shot.
That's lovely.
Basically, he loses someone very close to him due to a taxi driver's arrogance and mistake. Mm-hmm. So he decides he needs to hunt down all taxi drivers. So it's kind of the opposite of the movie Taxi Driver in a way. But along the way, you'll never look at metal chopsticks to the same. There's a lot of stuff in the movie that's just really, really wrong.
Working class genocide.
It is. It is actually region free. So you could definitely pick it up. It's not cheap, but you know what? This, after they sell through what they pressed, I guarantee this thing's going out of print because there's no market for it. It's like me and 6 other guys. So if you want it, you need to buy this movie.
And the 6 other guys are in the chat right now.
Yeah, well, Dan's one of them.
I wasn't completely wrong.
Dan, has your copy got to you yet? I know we ordered them from different places, so we were kind of his copy of Terminal Invasion got to him before mine did. But yeah, guys, it's so sad. We like compare notes on what our movies are getting to us.
There are worse things. So
Sam, we on Region Free we talked a little bit about Talk to Me.
We did,
and I think I took it too aggressive of a tone. So I want to first of all apologize to you. It wasn't my intention to cut you off or shoot down any opinions. It was just, I don't know. It was Region Free.
Oh no!
That show's all drama all the time behind the scenes.
I didn't take it that way at all. You know, it's just because like I had literally just seen that and the Meg 2 the day before, and I saw okay, so I have to back up because there's a reason I did it this way. So at first, I when I went to see when we did the Barbenheimer experience. We saw Oppenheimer first and then Barbie afterwards. I thought I was going to be like really depressed after Oppenheimer, right? I need something to pick me up. Turns out Barbie is the more depressing of those movies for me. So, you know, and that kind of gave me a good template to start with another double feature because I was like, man, if I had seen Barbie first and then Oppenheimer, I would have had a shit time because I would have been like a broken down mess. So we put Talk to Me at the end, you know, after the Meg 2. And sure enough, I was right. That movie just fucking ruined me. I was like a sobbing, bawling mess. And like it just messed me up like the rest of the night. So I didn't really like think about, I wasn't really, you know, like offended or anything by anything you said or whatever. I was just kind of like not in like a super upbeat mood, you know, because it's like, it's hard because it's like I lost my mom like back in April. So, and try not to cry on air. That'd be great. So,
I won't make a joke because that's not the right place to do it. But that's my defense mechanism, guys.
Stop.
If I can hurt someone by trying to be funny, I will.
It's like trying to hold back a sneeze, right? So it's like literally all movies are going to make me cry at some point, except Oppenheimer didn't make me cry and the Meg 2 didn't make me cry. So I think I'm getting better. But Barbie definitely made me cry. And then, yeah, having to watch all the stuff on Talk to Me was like, ugh. So,
Just
and
for,
like,
dis-
you know,
just for
that's-
disclosure, I have a pause on Sam reading my novel Bleak December until we both think she's ready.
Oh yeah, that's
Might be a little close to home, is what I'm saying.
yeah. I mean, I knew going into Talk to Me it was gonna fuck me up. So it is what it is. So it's true. We have all cried on air.
I haven't cried since 1986.
What made you cry?
That's probably a lie. I probably never lied.
See,
It's not manly to.
Blowfish joke, but-
I can't even say that with a straight face.
I was gonna make that Hootie and the Blowfish joke about the dolphins making you cry, but
Wasn't there a song by the band Live about the dolphins crying? I think there
Ooh.
was. Someone in the chat start singing some lyrics for us.
yeah. So
But
anyway,
yeah,
back to Talk to Me. Go ahead.
yeah, so talk to me. I mean, the funny thing is, The Last Voyage of the Demeter is the film I've been looking forward to all year, and I haven't got to the theater to see it yet. This really wasn't a big. I saw it was on the release schedule. It was A24, and I was like, yeah, I'm sure that'll be fun. I'm sure it'll be good. But I didn't have expectations of really loving it walking in. And the trailer, to be completely honest with you, made it look kind of like any other horror movie.
Yeah.
to me. So it was a really big surprise that we got something really fucking good.
I mean, A24 does have a solid reputation most of the time, except for, as Dan likes to point out, bodies, bodies, bodies.
I've not.
I haven't seen it either.
No, I think we've made the right choice there.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, I do like the, you know, I do like them putting that whole spin on just another kind of urban legend, right? Just have kind of a different one. It's like, hey, somebody cut off this psychic's hand and put it in put it in a you know, like in a ceramic piece. So
Well, I mean, again, we talked a little bit about like it's the Candyman thing, right? So it's like look into the mirror and say this name 5 times, or hold this hand and say, "Talk to me." You're inviting the supernatural, but you really like triggering the psychological breakdown at that moment, right? It's like that's the trigger moment. But it's fascinating because I think they found a way to visually, iconically visually represent that break. It's the hand, whereas any mirror is in Candyman, right? I think that was really clever because they managed to get a horror icon born on screen that's literally only part of a character.
that's true.
I
Good
do
point.
hope there's never another one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that there's a need to make one. Let it stand on its own. But I think we already have the prequel, though, right?
I guess. See, I have such problems with that as an idea. It can only go wrong to me. Then again, I didn't think that X needed a sequel or a prequel. Whatever Pearl is, it's a prequel.
Mm-hmm.
And I prefer Pearl greatly. But will that happen with something like this? I don't know. It seems fraught with problems to me. I don't want to see a story of the psychic and how he lost his hand. I just don't want to say it. A medium, sorry, not a psychic. Guess
Yeah.
that's technically different things.
I'm not sure what the specific differences are. I think a medium is more so a conduit, though, right?
Yeah, I guess it's someone who can open themselves up to letting spirit use them to communicate. I guess. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I think so. I think psychic might be actually a broader term. You could, or it depends, I guess, in what context you use it. Like a clairvoyant would be able to have premonitions.
Yeah, well, that's literally where the base words come from. But you see, I think maybe we're overthinking our non-existent crap pseudoscience.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I would say. But when you're comparing it to Candyman, like I remember you bring up Helen a little bit. So how would you compare Helen and Mia's characters to each other?
So both films widely take the idea of a psychological distress, right? And then they imbue it with the idea of the supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
And the supernatural then becomes kind of a flesh metaphor for what's going on with them.
Mm-hmm.
We will get, again, I'm gonna have the same spoiler rules I had on Region Free. Like I don't want to give anything away, but we need to discuss certain things in the film, which I don't think are detrimental to the experience. But with Mia, it's very clear that the death of her mom had a wide range of impacts on her life, but she's dealt with exactly none of them. She went and she immediately replaced her family because she lost her father in that moment too.
Oh yeah.
And she immediately replaced her family. She apparently ran to drugs at some point, but it's not made clear exactly when.
I think that's a throwaway part,
I do. It is. It's a decoy. It's part of that surface plot, but it's important only because it shows that she's avoiding dealing with it.
I mean,
right?
Okay, I don't want to be like all kids do drugs, but because I didn't do drugs when I was in high school because I wasn't popular enough. But so it's like I could never find them. So, but it feels like this is supposed to be a depiction of like, hey, teens growing up, doing some underage drinking, doing the drugs, stuff that we, associate with other representations of teenagers in pop culture. And I thought that was there just to kind of be like, okay, here's our baseline normal, right? So I feel like, her smoking a joint, once or who knows how many times, it's sort of like, it's almost not anything to really take to heart, I guess.
I think, I think it's part of the surface plot. I don't think she's meant to be a junkie in disguise or anything.
Mm-mm.
To your point. But I think it is to insinuate that she's tried to medicate her way out of her problems at some point.
Or she's definitely not facing them. I agree.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to the point whereas, when the little brother wants to go sleep with his, I don't mean this in a sexual way, but he wants to sleep in his sister's bed because he's afraid. She says, like, get back to your bed, because she knows, like, that's the proper answer. Like, that's really the healthy answer. Mia's like, nope, come here.
Yeah,
It's that sense that she wants to protect, but she also wants it's also leading to like really bad decisions though. Like she wants the little brother to feel included, and that's what leads to one of the major plot points. Not seeing that that's her own selfishness about what she wants to feel.
Right.
Sometimes you got to tell your what 4-year-old, your 4 years younger brother, no, you can't go to the frickin' party, or no, you can't. But she never does. She does not do boundaries with that kid because that kid has become he's pure. He hasn't had tragedy.
Yeah, and she has. Yeah, and I mean it's also established that obviously she has unhealthy attachment issues because, like you said, she goes and finds a new family, and then it's sort of like her dad's just like out in space over here.
Yeah.
So.
And clearly the dad has issues. There's no question about that. But does he deserve to be abandoned? That's an open question. And the deal. And I love the fact that the movie does not give you an easy answer to that. Like certainly how that thread of the plot resolves ain't cool.
Mm-mm.
So, but it does come down to the scene with the wallaby on the road, right? It's the key scene in the film. Honestly, the shittiest thing is in a way it's the least well done scene in the film, which is a little bit unfortunate. Again, when I came back from it, I think we messaged back and forth, and I said I thought it was an A minus. I think if they could fix that scene and just take one big swing somewhere in the film to make it a little bit structurally different than Candyman and a couple other films, not just Candyman. I'm just using that because it's the one people know. If we want to say Paper House, we can do that too. But it's an A minus largely because of that scene. As good as she is as in the rest of the film, and she's tremendous in the rest of the film, she decides to underplay a little bit in that scene when I think she should have let a little bit more rope out.
The first scene with the wallaby?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I think they did. I think they thought that they were burying the lead by having the scene seem kind of transitory, but it's not. And even from first watch, you knew you were watching something that was symbolically important.
Yeah.
I think they should have trusted the audience to get it and roll with it. But that is literally like my only complaint, and the fact that I wanted it to be just a little bit more ambitious.
Yeah.
But if I get something of this quality every year from A24 until the day I die, which could be next week, but whatever, I will be a happy man, because this was it's not an American film, but it feels like an American film experience because it was everywhere. It was in all the multiplexes in America.
Mm-hmm.
And,
yeah.
Yeah.
It was great. I really, it's the best horror movie that I've seen this year so far. But
well, actually, that dovetails into a question we just received.
Your light went away. Now you're all in the shadows. Oh, there we go. That's your computer monitor. Ha ha.
Ah, it is. Well, you're going to lose me again for a second, because I'm trying to pull up something, but I can't because nothing works. That's awesome. So, Rock Music Forever 90 asks, Sam and Lauren, what are your favorite movies of the year so far?
Yeah. Well, I mean, talk to me for horror, but I think, well, favorite or best, because I feel like right now for best it's Talk to Me, but y'all gonna laugh. Probably my favorite horror movie so far has been Megan. I just thought that was a really fun little ride. I liked Cocaine Bear a lot though too, but I think Megan just inches past it for me. And as far as regular movies, I'm going to sound like a cliche, but I think Oppenheimer's probably up there. Oppenheimer and then Barbie.
My top 10 as it stands right now is not a list that's very kind to America, because there's actually not a single American film on the list anymore, which I'm sorry about that, guys. But my favorite film of the year so far is Python. Jesus Christ, it's hands down the best action spectacle. Not best action film, that would still be Decade of recent years, but Python is outrageous. It's unstoppable. It is amazing, and we're getting a sequel to it in 2 months, because Tiger 3 comes out in November. So that's exciting. Talk to Me is my number 2 for the year right now. Although it's fighting for position with number 3. Asvins, another Indian film. Tremendous film. I know that you saw it as well, Sam.
I did.
I kind of just fell in love with that movie for having... There's a film full of ambition. Clearly no money, but ambition. And some great performances.
Yes. And it is one of those movies that does make a good double feature with Talk to Me. And I guess, if you've seen Talk to Me, you'll probably figure out why.
Yeah.
But and I remember we were talking about this with the theme. Well, I don't know if we should talk about that theme of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's there.
Now, are we going to spoil something though?
How many of you guys out there are going to actually watch Asvins? That's the question, I guess.
Okay, crickets.
Yeah, the film's about definitely deals with suicide pretty pretty blatantly.
I feel like you program Cairo in here too, though.
I think that's fair. Cairo is like I always say that White Lung have a song called Below, which I think is the best representation of what it feels like to be depressed as a song. I think Cairo's that as a movie.
Yes. I think that is probably the best depiction I've seen of just utter hopelessness on film.
Yeah.
He's such a downer. I love it.
Yeah. So do I. I'm just gonna run through the rest of my favorites for the year, and then we'll talk a little bit about Asvin.
Oh yeah, please.
But Raghu, which is this insane film. Again, it's an Indian film. It's a crime movie, but it only has one actor in it for the whole runtime.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a one-man show as a film, which gets challenging when he has to steal stuff from police stations and stuff. But he's literally the only one on screen. There are voices of other characters, but the film is very much from his point of view, and he's the only one around. Circle Line, the monster feature from Singapore, tremendously threw me back to the days of things. Remember when we used to get monster films like Mimic and The Relic, not the great Australian or New Zealand film.
Oh no, I saw The Relic in the theaters.
Yeah. Circle Line will remind you a lot of that. It also has tinges of Train to Busan if that wasn't a zombie movie in it, because some of the dynamics between characters kind of are similar. I had a lot of fun with it. It's a monster feature. I love monster features. We don't get them a lot in America, and when we do, we usually get like Kids Afraid of the Monster in Their Closet monster movies, and that's not what this is. This is, hey, there's a thing running around an abandoned subway line, and it might want to eat you.
Oh yeah, those are fun.
Yeah,
I really like the first Mimic.
Yeah. Cuddy, which means dogs, from India, is a great crime drama that is just it's about 3 separate groups of people who all decide to try and rob the same armored car on the same night in the same place.
Hilarity ensues.
It does, but it's really grim. If you ever wanted to see a film go off the rails beautifully, this movie goes off the rails about 7 times beautifully. Always comes back. The Dutch film Sisu. I had a lot of fun with it. I know it's slight. There's not a lot there, but I had a lot of fun. Bloody Daddy from India as well. Film about a guy who has his son kidnapped, but they don't realize that he's like the underworld enforcer.
What?
Yeah. They think they're being very clever.
Oh man.
Unicorn Wars, an animated film right now.
Shit, I want to see that.
It's if you want to see Nazi teddy bears hunt unicorns, there's no other place to go but Unicorn Wars. It's a Spanish French co-production. It's a wild film. A lot of people are going to dislike it because it is grim, nasty, and cheap for an animated film, but I love it. And finally, Driver Jamuna from India, which is a film about a woman who is a rideshare owner-operator who accepts a rideshare, a ride, not realizing the people she's picking up are on their way to assassinate the prime minister. So why don't we get movies like this in America? That's why my list is like it is. Like, you hear, even just the ideas, they're awesome. We don't get these things.
No, it's a little predictable here.
I will say I am looking forward to see Denzel Washington return in
Equalizer 3.
Equalizer 3, yeah, because I love Denzel Washington, and I actually really like the first 2 films.
Nice. I haven't ever got around to watching those.
The first film has a blatant steal from Jason X in it, by the way.
What is it? Asking for his machete back?
No, it's at the end of the film where he's hunting the bad guys in this factory. He literally takes out every one of the bad guys in the montage the same way Jason takes out the Marines in Jason X. Like the same exact. It's if it's not a homage, then they ripped it off. So I'm willing to say it's a homage.
Oh man, you gotta get a side by side of that going, right? Maybe it is the same stunt coordinator.
It's the same. I mean, the order is a little different, but it's the same. JT's out in the chat.
Oh, JT.
And he spoke with one of my favorite filmmakers internationally earlier today, apparently.
Oh, very nice. I thought he was talking about professional wrestler Soraya.
Um,
I'm so sorry.
Should I leave?
No, I swear it's not going to get Wrastly in here. Dan Shine's only in the chat. He's not on the show.
No. Dan Shine. So I got to give Sam massive props. Like when I point out something and say, "Hey, you should really watch this," I think it's one of the best things of the year. Like you're one of the few of my friends that will be like, "Yeah, if I can get a hold of it, I will," and you do.
Yeah.
Like, Asvins was what I knew was going to be a hard sell for a lot of people, but I think if they just turn the movie on, they'll be fine. Don't you?
I like the movie. I do. I enjoyed it. It just I'll probably put it at a B for myself, but I feel like that's good enough considering I hate most shit that I have to watch. So, just saying. But no, it was, I do like like foreign horror just fine. It just, a lot of times I'm multitasking and having to like sit down and, consistently like read subtitles for, an hour and a half to 2 hours. It's sometimes more than my ADHD can handle. Which is funny because I used to watch a ton of anime back in the day. That was fine.
So just to sell the movie on it's a movie in 5 acts, but just to sell people quickly, the first act is a found footage segment.
Oh my god! It gave me such bad anxiety, dude.
Oh my god, it's some of the best found footage like freak out you'll ever have. And then it goes to chapter 2, and the cool thing is you see everything you saw first person in the first chapter from it filmed like a regular movie, and it answers a bunch of questions that the first segment does. And you're thinking, well, when this ends and we get to chapter 3, it can't possibly play the same trick, and it just keeps going wider and explaining itself what you just watched even more.
Yeah, it's like unfolding.
Yeah,
it's all packaged up at first, and then it just literally, like, it opens up so much wider, and it does the nonlinear storytelling well.
Yeah.
It's not always something that works.
And for a reason. You couldn't tell the story in any other way.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
And that's really, really cool. And by the end, you're just completely like, you went from this kind of...
How did we get here?
Yeah. You went from this claustrophobic, like, very real, very gritty found footage thing to literally we're not even in our world.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't end up where you would think at all.
Yeah, it's a really, really, really ambitious film. I will say this because people are going to ask. So I'll get at least one private message after this. There are no songs. You don't have to worry. No one's breaking out into a dance routine.
Look, Dar at the Mall is amazing. Pina Colada. I think that's the name of the song.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Pina Colada. There we go. Now I remember it. That's a banger, dude.
I'm not against it as long as the tone of the movie is there. And Dar at the Mall is definitely a movie that can have a musical number in it.
Yes, totally.
I will say that Pathan has 2 songs in it, but they're integrated into the storytelling really pretty well. They're not like everyone stops and is out of character and is just singing and dancing, which happens a lot in Bollywood entertainment. I don't watch a lot of Bollywood like Pathan is, but mostly I watch stuff from the South or the West, so a lot of Telugu or Tamil films. And they don't kind of have that tradition. Like, music is still important to them, but they're not outright musicals.
Mm-hmm. So, how do you spell Pathan?
P-A-A... No, it's P-A-T-H-A-A-N.
Ah, okay. Thank you, because I'm going to see if I can find it somewhere. And check it out. It just was like I thought it was P-T-H-O-N at first, and I was like, that's not bringing up anything. I should just ask him how it's spelled.
Let's see if I can tell you where you can see it.
Huh?
You can see it currently. You can rent it on the YouTube for $3.99. You can. It's on Prime
Yeah,
with any
included with Prime.
subscription.
Yeah.
Apple TV has it for $5.99. Google Play has it for $3.99. It is incredibly worth your money.
Looks interesting. I mean, hey, I'm down. Fuck it.
All right, I was just
Also-
sent a message and a photo.
Nice. Also, when I was thinking about Talk to Me and, with Us Fiends, we also have kind of the, what's it called? Kind of like are we calling the hand the MacGuffin? It's not really something to
We're not searching for it, but it definitely is. I'm not sure. I think we need a word for that. It's definitely the inciting object of the plot, but it's not something you search for. It just kind of kicks things off. But it's not usually a person plays that role.
That's true. Well, no, I mean, okay, well, an object or device in a movie or a book that serves merely as a trigger for the plot. So
yeah, but typically it's something people are the two different a hero and villain are both trying to get.
Yeah. I mean, that's normally what how the context I've seen it used in, but
Yeah.
Interesting. Because, in Us Fiends we have I don't know who either of those people are, Dan.
He's trying to get us to choose our Emmanuels. Laura Gemser, easily. That's not even a question.
Okay. I'll go with Laura on this one.
Sam, don't research that one.
No, I know of the Emmanuel series. Like, I found my mom had watched it in one of her watch lists, so it was like,
Really?
well, that's weird. Yep, I was like, wow, I didn't even know about that. Thanks, Mom.
Well,
So,
I guess you saw right over those. What were those Twilight fan fiction movies called?
Twilight. 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
God damn, those are bad.
Once you've done Emmanuel, you really don't need to do those, I think.
Oh, fair. But MacGuffin-wise, in Us Fiends, we do have those as well in the form of the horse statue. The horse statues that, well, one of them's missing. They already know where one is.
Yeah.
Kind of getting that missing one.
You don't want to hand one of those to demons. It's just a bad idea.
Yeah, but it was funny because when you're bringing up the theme of suicide, I was thinking more along the lines of looking at it as this irresistible force, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like when you're standing at the edge of a cliff, right, and looking over. There's something in the back of your brain that makes you want to jump because your brain wants to finish this circuit that it's on, right? I mean, even if it kills you, it's still like, hey, let's see what happens if we jump, right? So it kind of reminded me, with the Talk to Me hand, you kind of felt compelled to hold the hand, right? And in Us Fiends, well, not to give too much away, but one of the characters feels compelled to untie these two horse statues, which is very fucking stupid. So,
well, I mean, there's a reason, but yeah, it doesn't. It's not. It's not an award-winning moment for anyone. But yeah, so that impulse that you talk about, if you're standing at the edge of the cliff, I think that we all imagine there's a safety net that protects us because generally in our lives, the really bad stuff doesn't happen that we see happen to other people. So there's a weird little egotistical thing where we think that it can't happen. There's some safety net that protects us from those things because we put ourselves outside of everything else. There's us and there's everything else.
Yeah.
And that's necessary because a working brain can't imagine itself inert, right? So I think there's that if I jump, what will happen? Your brain, on some level, is saying, "Well, I don't know, you'll be okay, I bet," because we've never had any experiences that end with us not being okay necessarily, or else you can't have that thought.
Yeah, I mean, I think it, I guess it would depend though on how you've been conditioned in life. If maybe you've been through other experiences that were, not necessarily traumatic, but you've pretty much learned from them, right? Like when you touch the stove and it's hot, you remember that, right?
Yeah.
And you see, if I step off this cliff, I'm probably going to die or hurt myself. So, but I think what's interesting is that, since our brain is really just receiving information, and then it makes us think that we're actually having thoughts when it's just kind of reacting to things.
Mhm.
Why is it built in that our brain reacts to seeing a cliff and being like, I should jump? I have questions.
Well, I think the impulse to test reality is very strong. I think we have it as kids.
Mm.
I mean, why do we challenge our parents at 3? Because we're trying to figure out the rules of the game, right?
Yep.
Because we don't know them, so we'd like to know them so that we don't trespass on them when it's not safe to do. We're pretty sure our parents are never going to kill us. You might get a backhand at some point, but you're probably not getting much worse than that. So it's a safe time. Mom and dad will be angry at me for a night, but by tomorrow they'll have cooled down.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty low stakes when you think about it. Now, as a kid, it might not feel like low stakes, but there's a part of your brain that knows, right?
Yeah.
This is not life ending. We're good. Let's see what happens. And that's kind of the drug thing we were talking about with Talk to Me. Like most kids, offered most drugs would try it once because they think I'm not becoming a junkie no matter what. That's not me.
Yeah.
That happens to other people. Again, there's me and there's the rest of everything. And the same thing, like I'm a skeptic. So if you can't put that hand down in front of me and said, hold that hand and I'll light a candle and you say, talk to me, I would do it in a heartbeat because I don't think anything's happening.
I want something to happen. That's why I'm doing it.
I don't know if I want something to happen anymore. I think I used to tell people that I wished the world was like other people believe it to be, because I don't believe in anything supernatural, and I know it. And I'm not suggesting other people should have my same skepticism. I just think they should have some skepticism. Because if you have no skepticism, then you have to believe in everything by nature. So you have to be skeptical about something. But I don't think that's true anymore. I think I probably would prefer the very finite world that I believe we actually exist in. Because it brings up too many moral questions if there's anything beyond here.
I mean, yes. I'm not gonna delve into an existential crisis here, but sometimes it's sort of like, you think about it in the grand scheme of things, it's like, oh, none of this fucking matters. Literally nothing. Like our lives are so short in the grand scheme of things. It's like a drop in the bucket compared to everything else.
The other side of that, and keep reading the book series, I'm trying to get to this. The other side of this is that, that's one half of it. Like to the cosmos, we are meaningless because we're so infinitesimally small. Mm-hmm. But to the worlds and worlds and worlds that exist below us, on a much more minute scale, our decisions and our actions may be world-ending or world-enhancing.
Mm-hmm.
What we don't realize is our after effects to everything from the insect world to the microbe. This microbe's living in your eyebrows right now, right?
Must be some tough motherfuckers.
Yeah, exactly. They're like steel in my case. So bring it back. If we make a bad decision and we die, it definitely affects them. And we may be talking about millions and millions of life forms that are directly or indirectly affected. It's the butterfly effect down is much greater than it is up.
Yeah, that is a good point. I just keep thinking, it's like, what if there's just, some redneck out there and who knows where and who happens to die, and then like, due to the butterfly effect, literally destroys the ecosystem below it. Yeah. Well,
that's the whole thing with, I don't care if people choose to be vegan or vegetarian or if you want to eat meat, or it takes all different types of people living all different lives. I think sometimes the justifications are weird. So people say, I'm an ethical vegan. Well, what does that mean? Because every time we cut down a field of vegetables, like millions, well, at least hundreds of thousands of species of life die.
Yeah.
So so at some point you're making a decision where that line is, and that's up to you. That's cool. I don't care. Like, you make your line, but to say it's ethical is a little bit dangerous to me, because then you're projecting your values onto everyone else.
Okay, I got really confused for a second. I thought when you said ethical vegan, that was a subset of vegans, and I was just, wait, what?
It's just the vegans that feel they need to justify their decision by saying
Like,
it's for
yeah,
ethical reasons,
yeah.
which, again, make the decision for whatever reasons you want. I don't care, but ultimately don't project them onto someone else. And when you say something is moral or ethical, you're doing just that. That's implicit.
That's true.
It's kind of like when if you put a sign on your store that says open, it's saying something, right? It means you can come in and shop. But if you put a sign on your store, and you've seen these that say, yes, we are open, you're answering a different question, right? There's a whole lot that gets inferred with those additional words. Now, functionally, it still means come on in, you can shop. But you're assuming a question was asked.
I just feel like yes, we're open is a little snippy. Like, it's almost passive aggressive.
Sure. But it's also suggesting that someone cares enough about your store to ask the question, right?
Well, sure. That's a good point.
Or it can even come off as a little bit pathetic, right? Because it's like, please come in. Yes, we're open.
How did we get here from Osfiends?
It's not a direct line, but the movie leads you in anything but a direct line, so maybe it's appropriate.
Yeah.
Guys, if you're out there, please, we'll leave Asvins in just a second, but please, at least go watch the trailer on YouTube. And yeah, I don't know if there's a trailer with subs on YouTube, but check it out. It really is one of the best things in the genre this year. And it's going to have you thinking thoughts. And it's also going to scare you in points. It has some really tense stuff in that movie.
It does. The scares are good. They aren't they aren't cheap.
No, there's no cats in cupboards.
But cats go in the cupboards.
I have one right there.
Why is it out of the cupboard?
It would go in any cupboard you open.
Oh, well, you should open the cupboard.
No. You know how hard it is to get out? And I always have to put all my spices back up because she'll knock every one of them over. Intentionally, too.
So every time we open the pantry, or, it's gotten better, but every time we'd open the pantry door, Soul would race in there immediately because it's a closed door. And again, we know how cats feel about closed doors. And, at first we were trying to get him out, right? Like, hey, come on out and, go in there and pick him up and take him out of the pantry. And then at some point, we just got tired of doing it and just, just close the door behind him. And then eventually he'll realize he's in there.
It's I imagine if cats made movies.
Okay, I'm imagining that.
It would be sedate for 40 minutes and then crazy shit for the last half hour, with almost no connective tissue between them.
You don't need it. It's fine.
It would be literally, it'd be like Skinamarink.
Oh, it would be a more interesting version of Skinamarink. It would actually keep my attention.
Yeah, but it would still be this is the couch I like to sleep on. A lot of the couch I like to sleep. But then suddenly, without any warning, the movie would just become Natural Born Killers. Just immediately. Different film frames, and we're all over the place, and cameras rolling, and you got Snoop Dogg on the soundtrack. That's what would happen.
Skinamarink.
Skinamarink is still my least favorite film of this year.
I got 18 minutes in. That's all I could get. That's all I could give. I had nothing left.
I couldn't leave. It's a rule. You can't leave if you buy the ticket. You got to watch the movie.
If it's streaming, I'm not going to do that. So I'm turning it off. I don't actually, I've only walked out of 2 movies in my life, and it was Ghost Dad and the Hellboy remake. which was just, I think as soon as we got to King Arthur, I was like, nope, I'm out.
The Hellboy remake had so much potential and did nothing with any of it.
Yeah.
By the way, those Del Toro films are not great either. They're serviceable.
Yeah, I like the second one more than the first. Golden Army was rad.
I'm thinking there's supposed to be more to that sentence. What do you think? I've only walked 10,000 miles. Is it like the
And I would walk 10,000 more.
Ben, you got to help us with the rest of this sentence. And what is this? JT, Lauren, you have your top films list. You could get to Jeff. He's interested. I thought I did that.
Huh?
Oh, he beats of all time?
I think he's. Is it further up in the chat?
I think he means all time, though. I don't think he means this year. What do you think?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, I see. It's right around 8:04. I can't pop it up on screen because I'm not in the admin's controls.
I know because, I kicked you out of there. I think you're going back in, though.
Do I have to go back in?
It's a dark, dark place.
I know, right? Don't put me back in the hole, Lauren.
Ooh. Got the lotion ready. Okay, so I'm going to run through my top 25 real quick. I'm not going to stop to say anything about any of them. Right, here it is. Bride of Frankenstein, Natural Born Killers, Heathers, Hellfest, Friday the 13th, Phantom of the Paradise, Game Over, Alien, Ringu, Black Sunday, Hereditary, Haunting of Julia, Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter, Cat People, Exorcist 3, The Empty Man, Decad, Captive Wild Woman, Night of the Living Dead, Jason X, House by the Cemetery, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Beyond, Biohazard, and The Hazing.
My favorite movie is Ghostbusters. I don't have them written down, I'm sorry. And they rotate out. I should probably actually do the thing where I write them down at some point.
It is so tough to do.
Because you're constantly moving spots.
Yeah, they move all the time, but do not share it with anyone until a month after you've made the list.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to get influenced.
Rock Music Forever, you know damn well I'm not talking about that 1982 atrocity.
Man. Just like put rock music on timeout over there.
No, we don't censor here.
But
yeah, so what happens is a film will come up in your mind. You'll be like, how can that not be in my top 25? And then you'll think about it and you'll be like, yeah, it has to go in. But it's hard adding films once you have the 25 because you're pushing something out that you love.
Yeah. Oh, Jeff says no this year, please.
Oh, this year? Well, that's a different list.
I mean, a lot of those were, I think most of those are going to be foreign releases for you. Hi.
All of them are foreign releases. There's not a domestic film on it. And I that's not by design. It's just what has come out domestically this year that's very good. Like basically nothing.
Well, not. I was like, talk to me. Wait, no.
It's American. I know. I keep doing that too. That's why I keep saying domestically released. It's not a domestic one. So here we go. We're gonna do the top 10 for 2023 for me. Pathan, Talk to Me, Asvins, Ragu, Circle Line, Cuddy, Sisu, Bloody Daddy, Unicorn Wars, Driver Jamuna. Maybe I'll just leave that file open.
You should. I mean, I still have things that I really want to see that I haven't. Like, I didn't get around to seeing Beau is Afraid.
I haven't seen that yet either.
Yeah, and I mean, like, got to get to that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Evil Dead Rise because I don't feel like being that triggered. I have to see Infinity Pool, but I haven't watched that one yet. Because, right now it's like...
I didn't love it.
Is what?
I didn't love it. So far, Brendan Cronenberg is not living up to his dad for me. I know he is for a lot of people. So far, I'm kind of just like, yeah, it's fine, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I have so many things I need to still watch. Like, and it's funny because, I just watched Exorcist 3 the other day for the first time, and it was awesome, and I loved it. And then I made Chris watch it too. So it's like I've seen Exorcist 3 like twice in the span of a few days. And, and it's like, yeah, eventually I'll get to the rest of the 2023 releases, whatever. It's only August. I've got 4 months.
I think the simple fact that we're going to put up with some awful new Exorcist film justifies watching Exorcist 3 as many times as you'd like to.
Yeah, I'm just going to steel myself for that one.
And I do suggest at some point you read Legion just to get the full experience on both sides.
Yeah.
It's so good. I read I read chapters from Legion all the time. I mean, like ridiculously all the time, because anytime when I'm writing and I'm kind of trapped, reading what Blatty does on a single page, it gets the creative juices rolling because you realize what's possible. He's just that good. Just was that good. And to think, this is a guy who wrote Pink Panther movies and The Exorcist.
I mean, look at Bob Clark.
Exactly.
So,
there's no question that some of these guys are just ridiculous. There's a question.
I was about to point that one out. Why is that the most successful? Why is Insidious the most successful horror movie of the year? Why?
Because its international rollout went really, really well. So the other thing is they watched what they spent on it. But the Last Voyage of Demeter, I haven't seen yet. A lot of people I trust say it's great. One guy I trust says not great, but I'll find out. Because I do want to see it badly. It was my most anticipated film of this year. But they spent $45 million making the film, and then whatever they spent promoting it was probably like $8 million. It probably wasn't all that much.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to make back a third of it.
Yeah, and it's very disappointing. And I think a lot of people probably don't realize that it's a Dracula movie.
No, that's why the initial trailer didn't have the line about, we called it Dracula. And then they added it to the later trailers because they was tracking horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently it was too little too late. But it also does not look like a Dracula movie. It looks like Alien on a 17th century boat, which is what it is.
Yeah.
18th century boat.
Yeah, I know. We have there's a small company called Pixel Elixir here in town. Well, not in town, in San Antonio. Close enough. And they make some really, really cool stickers. And they have like these little cat stickers that are all done with little like the Universal monsters.
Someone might have sent them to me.
Well, I mean, they also have them for current monsters too. Like they're like little kitties dressed up as Freddy and Jason. They're super adorable. But the Pixel Elixir people liked Last Voyage of the Demeter and was bummed that it's like, man, this movie's doing terribly. It was great.
Yeah, I got to get out to see it before they pull it because they've already announced a streaming date of like September 12th or something. So it's like,
that's right time.
It's not going to stick around in theaters. It's just not. It's funny because I think even films that are generally good this year domestically are not getting the traction. I mean, outside of Barbie and Oppenheimer, perhaps. I thought that
Paw Patrol.
I thought the Mission Impossible film was fine. It was that's a very reliable franchise, and this one was right in line with how the franchise performs. It's not doing well though, and I think people are just so hungry for something new.
Oh, Piz, hello. Thanks for stopping by. I'm glad Jeremy liked those.
Do you think this would have helped here?
I think so. But
don't you think you need to put a human-looking Dracula actor in the trailer, though? Isn't that part of like what people think of Dracula as? I think
I mean, who would you have cast instead of Javier Botet? Because it's like, if you're casting Javier Botet in something, you're not going for human looking. Let's be honest. I love him though. He's great. He's one of my favorite monster actors. He's my preference over Doug Jones.
There we go. Doug Jones gets work because he was like the first motion capture guy, right? Isn't that the thing?
I also played Abe Sapien, and
Silver Surfer for the
Billy in
motion
Hocus
capture
Pocus.
for that Rise of the Silver Surfer Fantastic Four film.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So this is what we've been talking about forever. You know, remakes and sequels are what we keep getting spat at, and it is just tiring. Like, I see a million YouTube channels that finally caught up to the 3-month-old and now outdated rumor that a new Nightmare on Elm Street film may be coming.
What? I mean, I saw that
What-
rumor and I
Who
just
is interested? Like, what is going to be the positive side of this? Let's be real. We're getting a Friday the 13th television show, and I don't even think about it every day in my life. Like, and I was a huge fan of this stuff. But
so
it's just, I don't need more of the same. Give me something fresh. I just want something new. I don't want Exorcist Believer. I don't.
you're getting it, and then you're getting Exorcist Deceiver.
If this one makes any money, we'll see.
Maybe they'll just back her old Deceiver. Who knows?
I bet they'll. I think that they probably licensed the trilogy,
Yeah.
so they'll
Probably.
probably have to find some like cheap ass streaming way to go for the sequels if this doesn't perform.
Oh God. I mean, regarding the whole Nightmare on Elm Street rumor, all I can think of is like I'm gonna be black-pilled horror fan here for a second. They're gonna do the same thing that they did to the Halloween movies, because Heather Langenkamp is experiencing like this big surge of popularity right now.
Mhm.
Right? So they're gonna retcon it, and it's just like, okay, but I mean, are you just are we gonna forget about Nightmare 3? Did she not really die? Did Kristen dream her into the beautiful dream and she's actually alive? I don't know, right? Or you try to go make a sequel to Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which I think would be pretty bad and pretty dumb. I don't think that would be a wise decision, right?
So there's been a bunch of different treatments that came like close to getting something happening with them, but nothing
Mhm.
got anywhere near the stage of actually being filmed or even written. But there was a ton of treatments, and some of the treatments took a lot of different angles. One basically made Freddy into a Candyman-like figure, where there's a race component to it, and another one, Freddy was an idea rather than an actual person, which I guess could be good. I don't know.
That works for the Candyman franchise. It doesn't work here. I don't think that was well executed in the Candyman or 2021 version.
No. Well, no, because it didn't understand the central metaphor of the original film, and so it tried to impose a new metaphor on top of it, which is always going to be problematic. It'd been fine if they didn't bring back characters from that first film, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you have to you have all the baggage from the first film, but you just wanted to, hey, it's her. Hey, I know that thing. I like that thing.
Yeah.
But I think that's a pretty miserable film. It's just lucky it's in the franchise it's in, because it has the third film, which is awful. Like, just it's the worst thing. So they knew that they were going to at least be better than that. But I think the original Candyman is a stone cold classic, not just of the genre but of film.
Oh yeah.
I would fight for that, and probably the most important horror film of the 1990s. Probably, if not in the top 3, no matter how you cut it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a slasher film, people. It's not a slasher film. But no, I think with Nightmare on Elm Street, to be honest with you, because it was such a phenomenal franchise during its initial run, I don't think it can be anything more. I think its usefulness is kind of contained to the time of where it reached that ridiculous pop culture status. It'd be like Donnie and Marie Osmond, their kids try and have a Donnie and Marie, like an Osmond show today. It wouldn't work because it existed in 1976, not now. Freddy's kind of that kind of thing. Like, you can do the Chucky thing forever because a killer doll is pretty much a killer doll. I think the remake of that is pretty great, to be honest with you. I think it's better than its reputation, certainly. So you could do that kind of thing. But Freddy was a bit bigger than that, and it definitely crossed some boundaries that traditionally a horror film villain didn't cross.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was toys. You didn't have Jason toys during Jason's popularity.
No.
You didn't have Leatherface toys during that initial run. You have them now. I don't know.
Well, we shall see.
Yeah.
But I mean, I
But
just feel like it's going to be a train wreck, and there's no real way you could do this.
well, the only thing I will say is that I always believe that a great writer can come in, come up with a concept, write a great film. The problem is, even if it's great, it's almost necessarily going to disappoint some fan or a large chunk of the fans who kind of want something more similar to whatever their perceived favorite in the series is. So if they like the Dream Warriors thing, which I detest, but if they like the Dream Warriors thing, then that's what they want.
Mm-hmm.
But that's already been done. You're never going to be better than it to the people who love it.
Yeah.
So you have to do something different. And I think that I don't know that like there's any of the sequels after 3 has enough of a fan base for them to try and capture those tones. Like 5 is just too wonky and dark and ugly. It's an ugly film to look at.
Which is hilarious because the director was did a lot of graphic design and a lot of artistic things.
Yeah, and was working from a David Shaw screenplay, which sounds like it should have been amazing. But you see the film. I will say this is a big diversion, but almost always when horror decides that pregnancy is a good horror issue, they have trouble pulling it off. And I always feel like David Cronenberg is the only one who could probably go there, and he never bothered to, besides briefly in The Fly. I mean, The Brood is not about pregnancy, despite everything that might on the surface seem to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's about abuse and rage.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I think that pregnancy tends to not be a particularly good subject for horror.
It doesn't work all. It needs a subtle touch.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that subtle touch is Rosemary's Baby, but that's why I fall asleep during that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Darren, this is a dangerous question because, I mean, you have Sorcerer, you have The Exorcist. I don't even know how to. He made some different movies that is hard to put them in order. Like, how do you compare, Bug with? I don't know. I think he's an amazing filmmaker, and besides The Guardian, I think pretty much like everything. So, I don't know. A French Connection has to be in there, obviously. He's just an amazing filmmaker.
I've only seen Bug and The Exorcist, unfortunately.
Oh, Sorcerer, you have to do it.
I know, I want to. I want to see Sorcerer, and I also would like to see Jade.
Okay. Besides Guardian, I don't think you can go wrong. Guardian, I saw Guardian at the Washington Twins Cinema in Washington, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And, being a huge Exorcist fan at that point, I was like, what is this? That movie is unbelievably bad for coming from such a classic filmmaker.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, I knew this was going to happen. I knew Cruising was just going to take over the channel. It's fine. I don't revisit it often. I like any film that makes people uncomfortable, and that's cool, but I don't know. Jeff is saying Jade is fun trash. Trash.
Treasures.
It's fixed there, but I like it broken a lot more.
I'm gonna start spelling trash with a J at the end now.
I'm gonna start singing the Alice Cooper song.
Are you gonna sing it with a J at the end now?
Your cool device. So Sam, we've been kind of off the air for a while. I mean, we've done the Region Free thing, obviously, and we had one guest last month. What gets us back on track with this stuff? I mean, first of all, do you guys want us back on track?
Yeah. Do you want guests? Do you want us to cover particular movies?
Yeah. What do you guys want us to do? Just like scream it out. Not saying we're going to do it because we're probably,
We're just lazy and using you guys as like an unpaid focus group.
Cool. Someone out there is going to be like, Nikki Haley.
What?
You're in the wrong focus group. I really desperately want to do one of these whole shows with my RFJ Jr. voice. I think it's important for us to come together as a society.
Dude, that's like one step away from your little old lady voice. The little old lady that owns the small dog named Gail Weathers.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're gonna have to, you gotta think of a name for her.
Yeah, it's gonna be something like Mrs. Lilycut or something. Do.
No.
So, director retrospectives is what Darren wants. Yeah, someday you'll get that Cronenberg retrospective that exists on my hard drive and is about 3/4 of the way done. Promise. Cliff is saying that Sorcerer is on YouTube, by the way.
Oh, thank you, Cliff.
Probably not the primo way to watch it, but I support watching it no matter how you get it. What do you think of that exorcism doc, The Devil and Father? It's tough because it takes it seriously and non-skeptically. So it's tough for me. So I've kind of just taken a wide berth from it. We'll see if I ever get the need to watch it. Reviews in retrospect. They really want me to review things? That sounds dangerous to me. Sam, you'll just have to do all the reviews.
Like I literally said on Region Free, I don't like staring into the camera and just talking. I'm not good at it. And I'm like, oh, good. Sam, you do the reviews. Fuck you, man.
I watched the movie and it was okay. I give it a C.
I mean, that's pretty much like all of your takes most of the time.
You know, the reason I don't really do reviews is I don't like doing synopsises of movies. And I don't really I have very strong opinions about movies, and I always want to temper that by saying to people like, I'm me, you're you. Like, I'm not sure why you care what I love. I know why I like hearing what other people think, but it never changes what I think, you know? So I'm always just like a little bit skeptical of the whole review thing. And then, of course, the synopsis thing just drives me just absolutely out of my mind. So.
Well, I mean,
Sam,
I'm down for anything. I'm down for pretty much anything, even if it's a review. I just don't want us talking to the camera by myself because, like, look, there's not a lot happening here.
The autopsies, if that's what you're referring to, do exist on the channel. You have to go way, way back in the timeline for them. The 5th one was off the site for a while, but it is back. Through no fault of my own. It was caught up in a problem with YouTube, but it is back now. Autopsies, I wouldn't mind doing some, but they're a lot of work. And I'm lazy, and I have a day job, and I write things. So we'll see. If I get like a film that I really, really, really want to dive deep into, we'll see. We'll see.
I don't know. I mean, if we did reviews, what should we review first?
We'll start with the Devil's Castle and work for every film sequentially to today. It'll take a little while.
What is the Devil's Castle?
Commonly considered the first horror film ever made.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It won't take you long. It's only like 14 minutes long.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Sorry, I just forgot that I've seen that. Yeah, my bad.
We have Irreversible coming up a lot.
Big, man. Big move.
So what do you? So I'm thinking we should just steal everyone's gimmick in the entire community. So we're going to review fast food, and we're going to sell candles.
How about if we sell fast food and review candles? I could do really good candle reviews.
I don't have a sense of smell, so it doesn't smell like anything.
You've got other senses. It's fine.
So I'll have to taste the candles.
You can appreciate the texture.
This one's especially silky. Darren, I would love to do a Spiral Staircase review. I would love that. I'd review the novel and the book.
I'm down. I'll do it.
Cool. And Cliff says, anything Italian never hurts. I know some women who would disagree with that statement.
Depends on what we're talking.
We could do some Italian. We got to find something that's like, because you guys really don't need to know what I think about like an Argento movie, right? Like that's well trod ground, I think. But I've been trying to get the Region Free folks to look at one of the rarest Fulci films of his horror period, anyway. But you know, not everyone is into Nazi ghosts. More obscure. Yeah, well, that's where we tend to go.
We haven't done an obscurity report in a long time.
No, we haven't. We gotta get. Do you want to get the band back together?
Sure. I don't know if I have any obscure movies off the top of my head.
Well, obscurity report was never like super obscure.
Yeah.
You know, it was just films that are perhaps not discussed enough.
Oh, so we could do Meet the Applegates?
I would love to meet the Applegates. The Daniel Waters screenplay is amazing. He wrote Heathers and then he wrote that. Think about that.
No wonder I like it so much.
Exactly.
That explains a lot.
Yeah. All right. So I think we're going to call it a night here, guys. If you have any final thoughts, throw them in the chat. Otherwise, we are going to leave you with Sam singing her rendition. No, I'm kidding.
Pina colada. That's it. We're off here.
Can I loop that?
No.
No? Okay.
Show's over.
Lupus on made it work. And Hollywood
Yeah, I love that.
we can do it.
You okay, buddy?
Yeah.
You okay?
What?